Will there be a shortage of firepower for America's nuclear arsenal? A deadly car bomb attack today on Israeli soldiers and a story of child abuse horror at an Oregon cult.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Major problems at 4 plants involved in producing the crucial elements for America's nuclear weapons raise this difficult question tonight. What's more important, a steady supply of nuclear firepower or the absolute safety of the community surrounding the plants? Today, members of Congress and the Natural Resources Defense Council, that's an environmental organization, demanded that the government deal with the safety issue first. NBC's Robert Hager begins his report tonight at the Savannah River plant in South Carolina.
The government's Savannah River plant, currently closed partly for safety reasons, is the nation's only source of radioactive tritium, a vital material in all modern nuclear weapons. The Energy Department hoped to restart one of the Savannah River reactors by the end of this year, the other 2 by next summer. But today's threatened suit by the Natural Resources Defense Council could delay startup a year or more. The NRDC said the government is required by law to hold public hearings and file a detailed environmental impact statement assessing safety issues before restarting the reactors. If the government doesn't agree, the group said it'll go to court to force the issue. Energy Secretary John Harrington.
Well, I think an environmental impact statement is not required under the law.
Tritium gives nuclear weapons more wallop, but it deteriorates and must be replaced. The Pentagon says stockpiles would start running short if not renewed by next summer. But the environmental group says supplies can be stretched out for 2 years. NRDC's Thomas Cochran.
Nuclear deterrent capability is not going to dribble away in the next couple of years for lack of tritium.
In Aiken, South Carolina, reaction from neighbors of the plant.
If they were right here at the plant, if they don't think it's safe, they wouldn't start it back up.
12 congressmen today called for reorganization of the Energy Department. Oklahoma Democrat Mike Seinart.
Basically, right now, the Department of Energy is out of control of its own facilities. It's abdicated most of its responsibility and accountability to the contractors.
All this after recent rapid-fire revelations about nuclear weapons plants. At Savannah River, news of a series of reactor accidents over 3 decades never made public. At the Rocky Flats plant in Colorado, 2 people exposed to plutonium. At the Hanford plant in Washington State, continuing concerns about whether leaks there have caused thyroid or cancer problems. And at the Frenald, Ohio plant, word that tons of radioactive waste leaked into the air and water supply with no public acknowledgement. Tonight, Ohio politicians differ on the future of the Frenald plant. Governor Richard Celeste says close it permanently. Senator John Glenn says it should be operating for the sake of the nation's weapons program. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
The man in the middle of all of this is Energy Secretary John Harrington, who was among the first to disclose the problems at some of these plants. He's with us tonight. Why shouldn't the Savannah River plant be shut down for at least a year until we know absolutely that it's safe?
Well, it is, Tom, closed down now at this time, and our plans are to reopen it first quarter of 1989 because of the tritium supply.
But the fact of the matter is, will you know when you open it that it is absolutely safe for the community given the problems that you've had in the past?
Yes, I think we will. We have a lot of experts looking at this. These reactors have a tremendous operating background or experience. We are a known quantity for us. So I think we will not open it, and we will not run an unsafe reactor. We will know.
But if the Natural Resources Defense Council is successful in court in forcing you to file an environmental impact statement, it will be at least a year that you could be tied up, right?
Look, an environmental impact statement for K-reactor in Savannah River is not necessary under the law, and the year delay would jeopardize national security on the tritium production.
Mr. Harrington, this could cost, what, $150 billion to straighten it all out over 40 years?
I think across the board in all facilities of the weapons complex, we're talking $100 to $150 billion over 40 years just to fix the environmental problems.
Doesn't Congressman Mike Seinart of Oklahoma have the absolutely appropriate question that there has been a dereliction of duty on the part of the Energy Department, that you've allowed the contractors to run these plants as they see fit?
No, I think we got where we are today by not enough self-examination, not proper procedures, and an aging facility that was allowed to go to seed after Vietnam for 15 years. And I think it's important to define, Tom, that we are not talking about commercial reactors in this country generating electricity for peaceful use. These are weapons reactors owned by the federal government.
And you think you can come up with $150 billion?
Well, my job is to take care of this problem, not only past sins, current operations, and future. And with the leadership of people like John Glenn, we're going to do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, for coming on tonight. Thank you. Also coming up tonight, NBC's David Burrington in Oregon, where authorities have a real horror story on their hands: child abuse, even death at a camp advertised as a training facility for future Olympians. And Ed Rabel in Brazil, where the destruction of the Amazon rainforest is going on at a rate that's almost unbelievable. If it keeps up, the whole planet could be affected. There was a devastating suicide car bomb attack today against the Israeli army in the southern Lebanon security zone that the Israelis control. It was the worst attack since March 1985, when a landmine in that same area killed 13 Israeli soldiers. Responsibility was claimed today by a group calling itself the Islamic Resistance, which is believed to include elements of the PLO and the pro-Iranian Hezbollah. NBC's Martin Fletcher has more tonight.
3 jeeps and a van stopped for a moment beside some soldiers. An officer got out to talk, and a huge explosion blew him to pieces. 7 Israeli soldiers dead, 6 wounded, 2 Lebanese women wounded too. The almost forgotten war on Israel's northern border. A white Toyota was here, loaded with more than 250 pounds of explosives. A hole in the ground is all that's left of the suicide car. The Israelis still don't know who drove that car, a Palestinian, a Lebanese Shiite Muslim. What they do know is that several Lebanese-based guerrilla groups are trying to step up the war with Israel. Only 6 weeks ago, a suicide car bomber killed himself and 2 Lebanese bystanders near a roadblock in South Lebanon. The guerrillas' failure until today is increasingly due to the SLA, the South Lebanon Army. Long scorned as Israel's puppet militia, they're getting good. 2 weeks ago, an SLA patrol spotted 3 Palestinian guerrillas laying mines in the road. They chased them for hours through the hills of South Lebanon and killed them. For 2 years, Israeli forces were attacked on average 90 times a month. Recently, that's been halved by a combination of SLA and Israeli strength on the ground and the guerrillas' fear of Israeli retaliation from the skies. Because Israel's elections are approaching, Israelis expect their revenge to be quick and hard. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, on the Israel-Lebanon border.